So I just wanted to carry on making a video about people pleasing. Got some really interesting comments, and I think it's Veronica Ware said that the examples that I gave in relation to my own experience were quite extreme, and they are extreme for sure. But kids can make something uh, mean something extremely negative about themselves um, because of the parents' very subtle messages that they're communicating verbally or non-verbally, energetically, consciously or unconsciously. A great example of this is I trained with Gabor Mate for 2.5 years, and he's the top man when it comes to childhood development, and that's just my opinion. And he was talking about that children can make something deeply negative about themselves as human beings, which will have long-lasting effects unless they actually work through it, from a situation where the mother doesn't make eye contact with them enough within the first 6 months. And this was painfully illustrated to me yesterday. I was walking down the street here in Malta, and there was a mother and a child, and she was pushing the pram, pushing the baby in the pram, and the kid was gurgling and smiling and trying to get the mother's attention. It's very, very young, I'd say less than a year old, and mum was on her phone, totally engrossed, to the point where I had to actually step onto the street to avoid her, because her focus, her attention was all on her mobile. And when you put that into perspective, when Gabor's talking about not enough eye contact and then mum on her phone all the time, what is the child subconsciously going to make that mean about themselves? All children are egocentric, and everything that happens within the family dynamic, both positive and negative, will affect the child both positively and negatively, obviously. But there are beliefs that are formed around what they experience in relation to what's happening in their environment, particularly with mum and dads, because that's their sole focus. And when we look at the way society is designed and structured, particularly today, but it's been going on for years, mum and dad have to work extremely hard to put bread on the table and a roof over their heads. And at the end of the day, after a hard day at work, it's very difficult for them to come home and drop all of the bullshit that's been going on throughout the day, and be attuned, emotionally present, psychologically and physically present with their child, and non-stressed. They've got to come home. Maybe mum's got to take care of the laundry and she's going to cook dinner, or maybe they're in one of these nice relationships where mum and dad both take turns doing the laundry and the cooking and the cleaning. But they're stressed, and it's very difficult to, particularly the way that our society is structured, for mum and dad to actually devote any real quality time with their kids. And no one's to blame for that. Well, there are people to blame, but mum and dad isn't to blame. Let's put it that way. So it's vitally important that as parents, we're painfully aware of the fact that everything we do, we say to the child, is going to land with them on some level. They may not understand it intellectually. I'll give you an example. I have many clients that talk about they were okay. Well, they describe their experience as being okay. I doubt that. But the significant point in their life was when mum and dad got divorced. Now, many of these divorces were not violent or verbally abusive or emotionally abusive. Mum and dad just realized, you know what, this isn't working out. It's not working out for me. It's not working out for you. And it's certainly not a great environment to bring up a child. But children are egocentric, and a child does not have the intellectual capacity to actually rationalize what's going on within the family. And this is just an example, okay? I know there's many of you out there that have got divorced, and it's no one's to blame. But the child doesn't see it like that. The child sees it from its own perspective, i.e., mum and dad don't love me enough to stay together. There must be something wrong with me. I'm unlovable. These are the beliefs that they form about themselves. And then, of course, they have to implement adaptive mechanisms to manage that emotional pain at the time. And one of them is if they get the message that I'm not a valuable commodity, then they have to make themselves a valuable commodity. And the way they do that is by trying to please mum and dad. And it's not an authentic, it's not coming from a place of authenticity, it's coming from a place of fear. In order to get mum and dad's attention, then I have to do something that is seen, something that's recognized. And like I say, it's nobody's fault. It's getting more and more difficult to bring up a kid in this society. And yeah, it really is a shame. All right, so enough from me today. Let me know what you think.